There is something happening in our culture right now around masculinity. It's loud. It's political. It's confrontational. Men are being told to reclaim dominance, to reject weakness, to restore order. But I've been asking a different question. What happens when the performance stops? What do men say when no one knows who they are? Across conservative spaces, masculinity has become a rallying cry. Strength, authority, control. But here's the question no one seems to ask. What does masculinity look like in private? When there's no audience, no applause, no reputation at stake. Because private behavior often tells the truth that public rhetoric hides. Today, I'm speaking with Nelia, a woman who works on a platform called Night Flirt, where men speak anonymously without their real identities attached. Over time, she began noticing patterns that raise serious questions about formation, faith, and fragmentation. Now, Nelia, firstly, thank you for being here today. You told me that you've observed two distinct patterns among men who publicly identified as conservative. Tell me, what are you seeing?
It's my pleasure to be here on your show. As for your question, what surprised me was the contrast. One group presents as extremely dominant. The tone toward women can be dismissive, sometimes hostile. There's an emphasis on control, hierarchy, and reclaiming authority. The second group is very different. These men describe same-sex desires or feminization fantasies. Many are married. Many are religious, and most speak with shame. On the surface, they seem opposite, but emotionally, they often feel connected. On one side, exaggerated dominance. On the other, hidden shame. They look completely different, but underneath, both often sound divided.
What if there aren't opposites? What if they are two expressions of the same fracture? Let's talk about that first group. When you say dominant, what does that actually sound like?
Some men describe women primarily in terms of usefulness, obedience, service, availability. But when conversations go deeper, what I often discover is not stable confidence. It's frustration, and there's often resentment. Many don't feel powerful in their real lives. The dominance expressed privately sometimes feels like compensation, like they're stepping into a version of strength they don't consistently experience outside that space.
If strength only appears behind a screen, then it is not strength. It's compensation. Real authority does not need concealment. And control that only exists in private is often covering powerlessness in public. Now, the second group, the men wrestling with hidden desires. What emotional tone do you hear?
Very different. There's fear. Many speak about their faith, about marriage, about not wanting to disappoint their families. They don't sound rebellious. They sound conflicted. Some describe feeling like failures as Christians, as husbands, as men. And when something is suppressed intensely without support, it doesn't disappear. It intensifies. They don't sound defiant. They sound ashamed and isolated.
Suppression is not integration. When desire is driven underground, without guidance or accountability, it does not dissolve. It reorganizes. In both of these groups, do you sense loneliness?
Very much. The dominant men often struggle with real intimacy. The conflicted men feel they can never be fully known. In both cases, concealment feels safer than honesty. It's not that it's healthy. It's that it feels less dangerous than being exposed. Hiding being a username feels safer than exposure. For many of these men, it's the only place they can speak honestly.
When men have nowhere to bring confusion or weaknesses, it does not get magically removed. It gets relocated. And what is relocated in secrecy does not stay contained. Do you think being behind a screen gives these men a sense of power or validation they lack elsewhere?
Yes, for some, it's the only place they feel in control. For others, it's the only place they feel safe admitting what they're feeling. It provides temporary relief. But it doesn't create integration. It postpones it.
What struck me about this conversation is not scandal. It's fragmentation. On one side, exaggerated dominance. On the other, hidden struggle. Neither is wholeness. As conservative Christians, we should be mature enough to examine this without panic. This is not about abandoning moral standards. It's about asking whether we are forming whole men or simply rewarding performance. Strength without humility becomes aggression. Faith without formation becomes posture. And suppression without guidance becomes secrecy. Masculinity is not restored through louder rhetorics. It is restored through formation, through accountability, through brotherhood, through spiritual depth. Performance eventually collapses. Integration does not. If even one man listening recognizes himself in this conversation, I hope you don't respond with anger. I hope you respond with honesty. Because holiness begins where performance ends. And no culture survives long when its men are divided within themselves. Stand firm in your faith and protect your freedom. Now, go ahead and subscribe. You already know you're coming back. This is the Emma Effect. See you soon.